Hello. Hello. It is Monday night. It is time for Monday mini medicine card readings. So I am running a little bit behind. Had a big day working, and so I just got home a little bit ago and I fell asleep. And so I'm just getting my stuff together, got my cards, and all right, get them set up here. So thank you for your patience and your perseverance as I get ready. All right, ta-da. All righty, let me plug in my computer so it doesn't, oh wait, never mind. We're good. I had a really busy day working today at Crescent Moon Gifts in Tacoma, like I said, and so I came home and I kind of crashed and I kind of kept hitting my snooze button, and then I was like, great, what time is it? Uh-oh. So, but that is okay, because that'll give us a chance to let others catch up to us, let them know that I am on. And so what we do, if this is your first time here, every Monday night at 7:30, I pull 3 cards. We do a little miniature card reading. I pull 3 cards. This is the deck I use, the medicine card deck, where each card has a different animal totem on it. And so I shuffle the cards and I pull 3 cards, and so your job is to choose a number between 1 and 3. And then I pull the 3 cards, and then whichever card corresponds to the number that you chose, that is your reading for the week. That is your little extra bit of guidance, let you know which animal guide has volunteered to walk with you this week. Oh, my poor kitty. Because I slept late, I didn't get my cat fed. Bad cat daddy. She still got her dry food. I'm going to just be a little bit late. She still had food in her dish when I came home tonight, so it's not like she's starving or anything. But I'm just smudging my cards. All right. So let's give them a nice good shuffle. And so pick a number 1 between 1 and 3, or pick 2 numbers or all 3 numbers. Oh, Valerie, did you feed her for dinner too? Because she had food in her dish when I got home. She got fed. Okay. Awesome. She wanted to think I was. Kitty cat wanted me to think she was starving. All right. So, thank you for joining me. If I haven't said that already, I'm newly, I'm awakened. I just woke up from a nap. So, my mind might be a little bit scattered. So, I am Patrick. If I haven't introduced myself, I am Patrick. I am the owner of Perching Wolf Studios, and I will be your friendly neighborhood shaman for the evening. And so the cards that I use, it's similar if you haven't been here before, if you haven't had a reading with me. Haha, one of the cards jumped out. Raven. So that applies to, okay, so that's the card for everybody tonight besides the 3. So Raven medicine. When Raven pops up, it's like deep magic. Raven is like the bibbidi bobbidi boo kind of magic. It's creation. Raven is dark, black, shimmery, velvety black, like the night sky, like infinity. And that darkness, that blackness is the womb of the cosmic mother. And it's inside of that womb that all possible realities exist. And like the stories of Raven, the most popular story of Raven is how Raven stole fire from the sun. And so Raven is the light bringer. And it's because of he was the only one who could fly to the sun and bring fire back to the earth when the earth was in darkness. The earth was in darkness, there was no light, all the creatures were stumbling and tripping over each other, not able to find their way. And so Raven volunteered and he flew all the way to the sun. And before that, Raven was beautifully pure white. But because he was carrying that spark from the sun, that charcoal blew back as he was flying back to the earth, and it colored his feathers, it burnt his feathers, it colored them all totally black until he was black like the night. But he brought light to the earth, and he made people able to see. He brought fire, which enabled us to cook our meals, heal, boil water. It brought back not only light to see, but light of enlightenment. And so, like Raven, when Raven comes up, it's about working with that deep darkness where we go into the void, the cosmic womb, and we work from that point. It's kind of like the 0 point. It's the point of creation. And we draw forward out of the darkness what we want to bring to the light. So when Raven comes, it's deep magic. It's creator level magic. So that was the card that jumped out of the deck as I was shuffling. So that goes for all of us. This is a great time for visualization, for daydreaming, knowing that everything you want is possible, that you can have and do anything you want to. It's a holographic universe. And I just saw a meme today. I spent last Thursday night with one of my classes talking about quantum physics and the reality that none of this is real, that everything is frequency, that everything is part of the same energy, and it's all about the frequency and how every possible reality exists, every place where there is a choice. Even those choices that we didn't take, in some dimension, in some reality, we did take those choices. And so there's an infinite number of worlds, an infinite number of dimensions, an infinite number of selves. And when we realize that, and we come from that 0 point of creation, like Raven, we get to decide who we become, which self comes forward into our reality. And I just saw a meme this morning about how science basically came along to prove to us that the magic we believed in didn't exist. Well, that was until quantum mechanics came along to prove that the reality that we thought existed doesn't really exist, and it's all magic. So you get to choose which universe you live in. Either it's magic, it's Newtonian, or quantum, whichever one you choose. Both are valid realities. But there's so much more possibility when you live from a quantum space, where you realize that life is an illusion. It's basically a lucid dream. And the universe is there to support you and to bring you to your full potential, full experience, and new adventures, all of that stuff. So anyway, how about we pull some cards? All right, one more. All right, so choose a number between 1 and 3. All right, so if you chose number 1, if 1 was your card, you got Wild Boar. Wild Boar is about really, it's about initiation. It's about stepping into your power. Wild Boar is possibly the most fiercest animal on the planet. And around the world, through multiple cultures, the gateway to adulthood, the rite of passage into full adulthood, is to hunt and kill a wild boar. The reason for that is because you are not guaranteed to survive. If you survive that experience, then you have proven your maturity, you have proven your skills to be called an adult. And so, and they're just telling me other stuff too. It's like, besides hunting the physical animal, you're not only facing that physical fear of the physical animal, you are facing your own thoughts, your own fears, your self-judgments. I'm not good enough. What the hell am I doing out here with nothing but a spear? What am I thinking? I can't do this. Whatever, those fears, the self-doubts, trying to garner that energy, that presence to be able to do what you need to do, to bring it together enough, cohesively enough, that you can fulfill that mission, that intention. And it reminds me, if you've ever seen the movie The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, there's a point in there where he's learning the sword, right? The Japanese sword. And he's really good at it, but he never wins, and he ends up losing every time. But one of the Japanese his Japanese captors, for lack of a better word, tells him, he's like, you too many mind. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, you have too many mind. Your mind is in too many places. You're focusing out here when you need to focus inward. And it's when we can come into that cohesive whole where you realize, bringing in Raven from just a couple minutes ago, that cohesive wholeness, that when you move from your heart, when you move in alignment with spirit, everything else is a response to you. Everything else reflects you. And so when you come at challenges, at obstacles, whatever it is, with that sense of wholeness, knowing that you are greater than anything that you fear, that anything that you are afraid of, cannot stand up to the power that you have, because you are divine. And anything that you fear is, and I'm not talking about like, I'm not afraid of cars and then walking out in the middle of the street and getting hit by a car. That's a healthy fear. Maybe that's better labeled as respect rather than fear, but there is a place for fear. You know, fear of heights. Some of that is ingrained in us as human beings, and those things have a place, so that out of that comes a respect for heights and whatever, so that it's a healthy thing to keep us from going into dangerous territory, like just because you're not afraid of a volcano, you're not going to walk into the lava pits or something, right? Just because you know that you are divine, you're still also human walking into a lava pit. Unless you're an ascended master, you're going to burn up. And so that fear of going into territory that is physically dangerous for you is a healthy fear. And like I said, that could maybe be more into like the respect. It's not necessarily, oh my God, lava. It's the respect, knowing, okay, I don't belong there. And so our own personal realities, like our bubble of reality that surrounds us, it's a ring of fear that is the parameter of our existence, our experience. And that serves a purpose. It keeps you safe. That fear is like the seeding on, or the casing on a seed. It's that hardness that keeps us contained within this certain experience, because we're not ready for what's out there yet. And so that fear is healthy. Like when you're a kid and they tell you don't cross the street without holding the hand of an adult. That is a healthy fear. That makes sure that you're not running out into traffic, that you're holding on to an adult's hand. And so you're learning from that adult how to watch for cars, how to judge distances, all of that stuff. If you become an adult and you're still living in that bubble, like held in, contained by that fear, and you still need the hand of an adult to cross the street, then that fear is counterproductive. But the fear is there so that, just like in a seed, you've got the outside, the casing, and then you have the inside of the seed that is soft and growing and evolving. And so it's a framework within to grow. And when that seed becomes too big for the casing, it pops out. When we grow too big for our old beliefs, that is a point of initiation. And if this is your card, that is what's going on right now. You are outgrowing your old beliefs. It's like they can't contain you anymore, but there still may be some fear or hesitancy, reluctance to move out of your comfort zones, right? And so that fear, like, people talk about that like your personal demons, like the fear. That's like facing the board. It's like you've got this boundary, and you're on this side of it, but you're outgrowing it, and so you're pushing against that wall, that fear. And either that wall is going to hold, you're going to give into your fear and continue in this small realm, which will just, I mean, think of something that can't grow. You're going to just become deformed and twisted and not become who you were meant to be. But in a healthy pattern of unfoldment, you're going to become too big for that. And so you will challenge that wall of fear, which up to that point, those, so-called demons, the fears that you held that kept you safe, they were guardians. They kept you safe. They kept you protected. And then when it's time to burst out of that, those gatekeepers, those personal demons, you need to face them to go through them. And that's what we talk about, facing our demons, facing our fears. That is facing the wild boar. Because when you face them, they disintegrate. They have no more power than what you give them. And when you realize that there's more on the other side of them and that they can't hold you back, they're there to make sure you have the commitment and the determination and the strength and the ability to survive on the other side. Like if you put it into terms of like a video game, and you get to the end of a level, and there's always that boss character that you have to go through. And when you're first coming up to him, it's like, oh my God, that's so scary. And it's like big and powerful, and you have to figure out the secrets on how to get beyond that boss. Well, that boss is kind of the gatekeeper to the next level, and that boss is making sure that you have the skills and the tools that you need to function on the other side beyond that boss. And after you've done that, gone up a few levels, and you look back at the first level boss, you're like, that was a piece of cake compared to this. But you had to go through and face that boss in order to be ready for the next one, be ready for the next one, to be ready for the next one. It's an unfolding. It's a process. And so, you're at that point of initiation. You're looking your fears in the eye. And the more, if you can stand there, I'm not saying you're going to be there without fear, but even despite the fear, if you are ready to say, I know that how would I put it? I know there is more to my life than what's just within this boundary, and I need to know what's on the other side. I deserve to expand into new horizons. And when you stand there with that determination and you face them, whether there's fear present or not, that fear becomes the seed of courage. Whenever we have like a negative, so-called negative emotion or response or whatever, it's really the seed of its opposite. Like there in the movie Evan Almighty, it was the sequel to Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey. This one was Evan Almighty, and Morgan Freeman, playing God, was talking to Evan's wife, and she was talking about praying for courage. And he said to her, when you pray to God for courage, God doesn't give you courage. God gives you the opportunity to be courageous. That is this in a nutshell. This is your opportunity to use all the tools that you've gained, all the experiences that you've garnered in your experiences up to that point, to be able to stand in front of that fear and say, you have no power. And the only way our fears have power over us is if we turn around and run. If we run away from them, they get bigger and nastier. But really, the universe is is a friendly universe. Even those scary things are there to teach us. They're there to, like I said, they're there as guardians at first to make sure you don't step out into something you can't handle. And when you hit that point, they become the gatekeepers to make sure to test you, to make sure you have the skills to thrive on the other side of that barrier or whatever it is. And the thing about, like I said, wild boar, when you're hunting a wild boar, you know, in native cultures, indigenous cultures, like I said, you're not guaranteed to survive. And so that is a necessary element of initiation. My teacher, Sandra Ingerman, was talking about one of her guides told her one time when she was facing initiation, and it's like, but I don't know, you know, how am I going to get through this? And her guide was like, I can't tell you that. If you knew you were going to survive, it wouldn't be an initiation. So this is like death and rebirth stuff. You have to totally die to your old way to become that new person. It's like the butterfly and the caterpillar, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know why I'm going into this. It's scary, but I know I need to go. And becoming, like, surrendering to that drawing forward of your path into something unknown, knowing that there is a purpose. Or it can be an exciting thing, like I knew somebody, and I can't remember who it was now, but a friend told me about how they had gotten an invisible fence for their dog, right? And so it's that electronic buzzer thingy, and their dog was so smart that it realized if it wanted to be free, all it had to do was get a running start and jump at the last moment, and that it would only hurt for a second, and then he was free. That's what this is about. It's about seeing that, okay, I've only lived up to this. This has been my parameter of my existence, but I know there is so much more on the other side of that. So I am going to run through that. It might hurt like hell, but I'm going to be free on the other side. So you are leveling up. If that's your card, number one, you are leveling up. You are facing your demons. And just remember that they are there to serve you. That they have no power of you. They reflect your fears. They reflect your doubts. That's their job. And for you to face them and just say no, really, that's all that is needed. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to kill them. In fact, I talk about sometimes inviting my demons to tea. You know, when these fears arise, it's like, okay, well, let's sit with this feeling. Let's invite it into tea rather than trying to slay it or conquer it or getting power over it. It's like, okay, this is a feeling that exists within me. Let's just sit down to tea and let's sit with it. And okay, it feels like fear right now, and oh, now it's shifting. Now it's going into grief, and it eventually you get to the bottom of it and it fades. You realize that there was no substance to it, that it was all illusion, right? But as human beings with human brains, we need that structure. We need some bit of structure to give us the freedom to move forward. And so this is a way of creating structure that our brains can understand, moving into levels, moving step by step by step. So you are on the front lines. You are ready to break through that wall of fear into a greater reality. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your strength. Celebrate your courage. You would not be there facing the wild boar if you didn't have the strength and the ability and the skills to move through that. You can do it. All right. Number 2. If 2 is your card, you got Mountain Lion. Mountain Lion is about leadership. But not the common way that society thinks about leadership. We think about leaderships in terms of the traditional Western society vision of leadership. It's about the hierarchy, right? You got the leader at the top, everyone that falls in behind them. Then you've got sub-leaders that lead other leaders down here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like everyone has more power than the one behind them. And that's seen as leadership. The leadership that Mountain Lion embodies is matriarchal, not the patriarchy hierarchy. It's matriarchal by leading with her heart. Her heart is her authority because her heart is what connects her to all living things, to the entire environment. And so when she moves from her heart, she is automatically moving in harmony with everything and everyone else. And so she becomes a leader in helping to maintain that equilibrium, that balance. She has no more power than any other being, but by living her best and truest life, being that authentic being that she is, she becomes a leader. And what a true leader does, rather than creating followers like the Western template is, a true leader creates more leaders. Because the true leader lives from their heart. And the true leaders are the ones that stand out from society, not the ones that fit into that nice, neat box. A true leader is someone that stands out because it's that living your passion, allowing that passion to be your leader, to be your compass. And it's like Joseph Campbell talks about following your bliss. And when you live from that place of seeking your bliss, letting it that, and your bliss it's a yearning. It's not something you have. It's something you are drawn forward to. It's this like a poet or an artist trying to create the greatest poetry or trying to describe the perfect sunset, which is impossible because words cannot encompass that experience. But it's that drive that's like the North Star of the poet trying to describe that in words. And so it's a yearning. It's a calling because you are called to it. You are drawn forward to it. You're not being pushed into it because someone else says, oh, you're supposed to do this. It's a drawing forward, following your path, no matter what it looks like to the outside world, no matter what opinions others have. You follow your heart. And because you're following your heart and your heart is shining, to live from your heart and your passions is so contagious. I mean, I think back particularly on my teachers, right, growing up. And the teachers that I remember, the teachers that I fell in love with, were the ones that were passionate about their subject, whatever it was. They were the ones you wanted to listen to because they weren't just teaching you facts. They were teaching you what it feels like to be on fire, to be alive, to really connect with a subject or thought or concept, whatever it was. And so they more than the facts of whatever they were teaching you, they reinforced in me that need to follow my passions. Passionate people create more passionate people. Leaders are passionate people that create more leaders that are following their passions. It's not about being a leader and guiding the way, say, follow me this way. It's like, I'm going this way, and someone's like, oh my God, that's awesome. They are so lit up and passionate. And that makes me like, I want to go this way because that's where my heart is leading me. And I'm going to go create this over here. And so passion begets passion. It's it's really like you can light 1,000 candles from a single match, because sharing the fire does not diminish the original flame. That is the way of passion. That is the way we are supposed to help each other. And so it's like becoming the leader in spite of and because of the limitations that we're given. We need more passionate people walking on the earth that don't care about the rules, that don't care about the four paws and whatever, like looking silly or looking weird. Those are the kind of people we need as leaders to kind of help break down that old patriarchal system of concrete. This is the boundary and you don't cross it, to a more organic, balanced, harmonious world. As the apex predator in her area, she is kind of the queen of the forest, and it's her integrity and her leadership and her strength that helps maintain the balance of the entire circle of life. And there's an interesting dichotomy here. You can look at it as masculine, feminine, light, dark, whatever, but there's Mountain Lion. She's a kitty. She's soft and cuddly and purry and loves to roll around and nap in the sun. But if you threaten her, she has the claws and the teeth and the strength to take you down. So it's there's this territorial aspect to Mountain Lion. They're very territorial. Like one cat patrols like a 30-mile parameter, and they tend to only their territories do overlap because they tend to walk the parameter of it. They don't really go into the heart of it. So you can get a number of different mountain lions in the same area, and they don't usually cross each other's, but when they do, it's like a definite digging in, this is my territory. And so it's that ability to defend your territory, to set those boundaries unquestionably, that allows you to have the softness. It's the hardness that maintains the softness, if that makes sense. And it's like not giving idle threats. It's like telling someone, yeah, if this doesn't happen, then I'm leaving. And then having the integrity that if that doesn't happen, then you leave. Whether it's easy or hard, or you rethink it, like, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But it's fulfilling the things that you say, the consequences. It's you set consequences and like, okay, if you do this, we can't be friends. And that's not necessarily what was I going to say? It's not necessarily an ultimatum like, if you love me, you will do this kind of thing. It's, we can't, this is what I deserve in a relationship. And if you can't come to meet me there, then I need to leave. And so it's setting the consequences, and it's a matter of resonance. If they're not eye to eye with you, then they don't belong in your life, and you leave. And so it's not, your relationship isn't contingent on them. It's not a negotiation. It's just saying, this is my boundary, and if you don't live up to this, nothing against you, you're not a bad person, but we can't hang out because we don't have any resonance. We don't support each other. It would be an off-kilter relationship, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But really, it's about finding your voice, expressing your heart, and knowing that you were, this is a really weird thing. I was going to say you were meant to be seen, but at the same time, mountain lions are so elusive that you'll hardly ever see them, hopefully, in the wild. Trying to figure out how that works together, but be the leader in your own reality, in your own world. You are the center of your reality. You are the only one. How do I put that? It's like I get these senses and these feelings of things, and I have a hard time unraveling it into the linear words. Like I mentioned earlier, the quantum universe, the holographic universe. You are the center of that universe. And all you can know is what comes to you through your senses. No matter where you go, there you are. And anything outside your senses, wow, I'm really going there. This is kind of way out there, quantum physics, but anything that is not within your immediate perception it's not solid fact. It is a field of probability. It's Schrodinger's cat. And until we actually perceive something, it's that perception that locks it into that reality. Remember what I was talking about at first, when Raven popped out for everybody. That's what I'm talking about. The darkness is the field of probability. Every single reality exists in the dark. And it's when we decide which one we're going to perceive. It's perceiving it that creates that reality. Like Schrodinger's cat. If you've never heard about Schrodinger's cat, Schrodinger was a physicist who had this thought experiment. He didn't really put a cat in the box, so it's okay. It's a hypothetical cat. And so he said, if you take a cat and put it into a box, and you put, it was like a radioactive isotope or something in a vial that had a 50% chance of breaking. Like, once you put that in there and shut the box, there was a 50% chance that vial would open and the toxic gas would come out and kill the cat. So once you put that lid on the box, his theory was that cat exists in both states. That cat is both dead and alive at the same time. And it is not until you later lift the lid that it settles into one reality or the other reality. That is how powerful you are. As an example, Okay, this is going to be a long one tonight, guys, just to let you know. I'm kind of getting on my quantum physics high horse. A couple of years ago, I was at Fairy Worlds, this music festival in Oregon that is all about fairies. Everybody gets to dress up with wings, and it's awesome. Check it out. But when we were going to leave, a friend of mine found out she had a flat tire, and everyone's like, "Oh, I hope she has a." She didn't know if she had a spare. Her car, I think, was relatively new. All she knew is that she had a flat tire. And so we were all in camp like, okay, we need to go help her. And everyone's like, oh, I hope, what if she doesn't have a spare? Oh, I hope she has a spare. Oh, and it was this back and forth between whether she had a spare or not. And I said, okay, we are calling forward the reality where she has a spare. No questions. We're not even going to entertain the reality where she does not have a spare. This is the reality where she has a spare tire, because both realities exist, and we are calling forward the one where she has a spare. And I mean, you might just say it's coincidence or whatever, but we went down there confident that she had a spare, and we get down there and she's got her spare tire leaning up against the car. And so it's that kind of thing. Like, both of those states existed at the same time. Before we saw that spare tire, or before we were told that there was a spare tire, both realities existed. There was a reality where she didn't have a spare and would have to find, like, call a tow truck or go buy a tire or something. And then there was the reality where she had a spare already. And so we focused on that, having a spare, and ta-da, she had a spare. So that is how you create reality. That is that Raven bibbidi-bobbidi-boo magic of the universe. All right, last card. Number 3. If your number tonight was 3, you got the house favorite, Moose. Moose, if you haven't been here before, Moose comes up so often. It's crazy. But what Moose is what I call majestic dorkiness. If you've ever seen a moose in person, they are awe-inspiring. They are huge. And they are like powerful, muscular, and you have that. It's, to me, their energy is very similar to a lion's energy. It's like that majesty, and like, oh my God, I am in the presence of royalty, you know? So there's this awe, this majesticness that is unquestioned. And at the same time, they're one of the dorkiest looking animals on the planet. And so the word for moose in the book that comes with it is self-esteem. Moose is about self-esteem. It's about being present. And it's about really about self-acceptance. It's about accepting all of those things, especially the things that make you stick out from the crowd, all those things you got teased about, all the things that made you different in some way. When you accept that, when you're authentic, when we grow up trying to hide those things, then that's where people pick up on it and you get teased about it because they have a hook. If you're feeling shame, or you're feeling guilty, or you like not wanting people to see you because they'll judge you, then that becomes a place where they can sink their hooks in and make you feel bad, make you feel wrong or different. And if you're like, this is me, there's nothing to hide, there's no place for people to get their hooks in, to make you feel bad about yourself, to make you judge yourself, because you have no skeletons in your closet. You're not hiding anything. You're totally authentic and transparent. And when you do that, you are so powerful. And then you don't have to worry about what people think, because you've gone through your own experience of growth and acceptance, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says, you know? Like, in my own personal experience, I have quite a few friends that are like the LGBTQ area. I don't know what to say, but those friends, part of the reason we're friends is because they are some of the most evolved people on the planet, because they've had to face those things, and they've, you know, the initiation, the gauntlet that someone that has that much stacked against them, to come through that gauntlet and live and to survive, takes so much strength and courage that by the time they're adults, whatever, you know, it doesn't matter what anyone says or does. They're okay. And so everything, it's like, it comes in with like self-forgiveness and self-acceptance of letting go of shame, knowing that there is nothing wrong with you, that you can stand. Even you're human, you make mistakes, you make questionable choices, but every choice that you have made has brought you results, has brought you consequences, which is an education. Each choice is a lesson that you learn, and then you don't have to go do that anymore. You know, okay, if I choose to go that direction, this is what happens, and I don't want to go there. And so I'm going to choose differently. And so it's like, as we grow, we learn, you know, we start out, we have all these choices, and we start to learn which choices feed us and which ones are kind of destructive for us. And by choosing the ones that nurture us, that are healthy for us, we start to hone in on who we are, and then we can accept ourselves wholly and completely. And when you do that, like I said, all that energy that you spent in putting up shields and putting up masks and trying to pretend to be someone that you're not, so that you'll be acceptable, so that people don't tease you or whatever, all of that takes so much energy. And all of that energy, all of a sudden, instead of being poked out this way to influence people, comes up within you and lights you up, going back to that thing of passion, you know, living your passion. When you've got that self-esteem, you accept yourself. It's like, I don't care if anyone else doesn't like sharks. I love sharks, so I'm going to focus on sharks. Just as an example, I was actually thinking of a friend who, every time I see a shark, I think of her because that's her totem and all these things. But anyway, so whatever your bliss is, whatever your passion, going with it rather than ignoring it, saying, you know, oh, that's just a hobby, that's just something I'm interested in on the side, but I'm really, you know, living inside this box of expectations that the world gives me. It's like, no, you live outside the box. There is no box. The other thing about moose, and part of the majesticness of moose, of course, is those antlers. And moose's antlers, more than pretty much any other deer, they're like thick. They're like hands. It's like open hands connecting, like a radar to creator. And so there's this, crown chakra, wide open, connected to spirit. And to do that, you need to accept yourself. You have to have your other chakras. If you're going to be the majestic presence on the planet that you were meant to be, you have to have all those chakras aligned. And when you have that, basically the tree of life, right, up, then you are open to receiving divinity, divine guidance, divine light and love, basically the essence of who you are, coming into you to fill you up, to be that majestic presence on the planet. Again, living your bliss, which lights the fire in everybody else's heart. And then those barriers are like I just said, there is no box. Bohr is the one that helps us realize that we keep ourselves in our own little boxes of comfort and fear. And when we realize there is no box, then we are the king of our world, right? Whew. Anything else, guys? I think that is it. So, I hope that was helpful for you. So again, number 1, if 1 was your card, you got Boar. If 2 was your card, you got Mountain Lion. If 3 was your card, you got the Moose. So if you came in late or you missed this and you're watching it on repeat, know that if you're watching it on repeat, you already know that I'm going to post this to my page or to my YouTube site, because that's the only place you can see it. But I will post this to my Facebook page, and I will post this to my YouTube channel, so you can watch it as many times as you need to. If you forget during the week, or if you decide you need a little more guidance during the week, you can choose a different number and come back and watch and see what that number card is for a little extra guidance through the week. And I've got, it might be harder to scroll through my Facebook page, but I have all of these, or most of this, on my YouTube site at Perching Wolf Studios. And so you can just randomly pick one, choose a number, and see what it is. The universe unfolds in perfect harmony. Whatever your question is, you will choose the right video, you will choose the right number, and that will be the guidance that you need at that time. So have fun with that. Also know that I am here as a resource to support you, to help empower you, to help you find that passion within you. Especially during these crazy times, unprecedented weirdness in the world, we all need a little more guidance. And it is my deepest honor and pleasure to be able to guide other people, to find their own guidance, to find their own heart, and empower them to move forward in their life. So, think about, if you enjoy this, think about having a full reading with me where you get 5 cards all to yourself, and so it's not as general as this reading. This is kind of like the horoscope version, generalized. When you get a personal reading, you get 5 cards, and I'm able to connect with the personal meaning right specifically for you. So I would love to do that. You can check out my website, perchingwolfstudios.net, to see how you can sign up there, connect with me to set up an appointment for a reading, or for any of the other shamanic services I give. I'm hoping to do a video soon about soul retrieval and different aspects of shamanism that I offer so that people have more information about what they might need. But even if you wanted to come and speak to a shaman, set up an appointment. I love talking about this stuff. I love empowering people. I love seeing people's light just like light up. So think of me if you need any guidance, any healing, whatever it is. I'm here to help you. And I think that is it for now. So join me next week. Invite your friends. Feel free to share this video with anyone you think might enjoy it. If you enjoyed it, I also have 1 or 2 links in the information about the video where you can donate if that feels good to you. This is absolutely free. I offer this from my heart, but I do have that connection in case you feel that draw. And I will continue to do these as long as I possibly can. Who knows? Years and years and years, maybe. Who knows? But this is one of the highlights of my week, and I really enjoy connecting with you this way. I wish I could connect with you in person, but with the pandemic, etc., that's not really doable. But I do feel your energy. I so appreciate your tuning in, especially those of you that have been watching for so long every week. Tell your friends, invite them next week. Wednesday nights, I do another video if you're up for that. I do a live video, and it's a sacred pipe ceremony. And basically, I set sacred space for people to come and take a breath in the middle of the week, to let go of the world, to put that weight down for at least an hour, and to connect to Creator. And I do the sacred pipe ceremony, smoking the sacred pipe, the peace pipe, you might know it as from Hollywood, etc. But sending out our prayers and our intentions together in a safe and sacred space. If that sounds good to you, come join us Wednesday night at 7. Otherwise, hopefully I will see you next Monday night. So take care of yourself. Call in your animal guides if you need help this week. And until I see you again, know that I love you, and that I see you, and that I honor you. So have a wonderful, wonderful week. Know that there is nothing wrong with you, that you are doing the best you can. You are in the right place at the right time, and that every probability is right there. You get to choose whichever reality you want. There is never any... you are never trapped. You are never at a dead end. There are always options. There is always a completely harmonious solution. And it's when we connect to Creator that opens that up, that trust and faith, and opening up to the possibilities that a friendly universe affords us. I'll put it that way. So thank you guys. I hope to see you next week. And until then, go shining. All right. Bye.